As many of you know, Cinco de Mayo weekend was very busy in San Jose throughout the city. We had several events that were occurring. We had events over in East San Jose. We also had some events in downtown San Jose, which were all extremely successful, extremely well-attended family events. We're very thankful to all of our city officials, city leaders, and elected officials, community organizations for letting us be a part of that. I'm sure some of you have seen our press release, which actually has some photos of how we partook in the celebrations, which included an officer dressed in a very custom mariachi uniform, singing a couple of different songs, which was really, really fun to see and really well received by our community. We also had a lot of disruptive behavior that were not related to the event, and I want to make that very clear. Although they were in close proximity, they were not related to the event. We did have a significant amount of people visiting San Jose. We also had a lot of people who came out to celebrate in San Jose, which was wonderful, but we had a lot of disruptive people who came here to do bad things, which we've seen historically in years past. We've had people come down here who kind of ruin it for everybody else. Some of the things that we saw over the weekend, specifically mainly on Sunday, were extreme reckless driving. We had a significant amount of sideshow activities popping up all over the city in which we had to try and utilize resources and take away from the celebrations to try and combat. We had officers who were getting bottles thrown at their vehicles and at them. We had officers who had been assaulted. We had people driving drunk. We had one vehicle crashed into a patrol car that was doing a diversion and injured our officer. Luckily, it was only minor injuries, but that person was injured due to the alcohol-related crash. That obviously required a lot of enforcement action, and as part of our press release, we did put out a lot of that information and some of the arrests that we've made. Those stats were specific to the impacted areas. That doesn't include all the other arrests we made related to regular calls for service throughout the city, domestic violence, warrant arrests, whatever it is. All those were specific to just the impacted areas related to criminal behavior that was occurring. I don't have a whole lot of other information, but I'd be more than happy to take any other questions you may have.
That said, would you do it again?
Absolutely. Us being part of the celebration was significant, and it was huge for us. It was a huge milestone to be able to celebrate with the community. One thing I want to try and emphasize is this is kind of the reason why we always have additional resources every year. And it's not for the people who are celebrating the cultural event, it's people who are coming here trying to use the cultural event to do criminal activity. And we have seen in years past, that's why we have so many resources there. People always ask, why is it for Cinco that we're doing this and we don't do it for another parade? Well, we notice that people are coming down here to do these things to take advantage of the fact that we're having all these events and to basically behave badly. All the criminal behavior was occurring at this time, but we look back at data and all the times that we've had these types of events has nothing to do with the event. It has to do with people taking advantage of the time that we're going to be here, which is why we deploy additional resources.
We talked about last year about how the public wasn't notified in time. This year you notified them a month before. Do you think it made a difference?
You know, I think so. I think it was good for us to recognize that the need there and for us to be able to try and communicate with the public. Not only were we doing that every month, we try for the month, we did it every Friday to remind them because we really wanted to drive home that we wanted you to plan ahead because we knew it was going to be impacted. And as you saw, we had to put up diversions because of the criminal behavior, in which we also did in real time notified the public to please avoid these areas. And I think it did help. It helped an opportunity for us to hopefully divert people from coming to those areas and getting stuck in traffic. We didn't hear any complaints. I'm not sure if you did, but we'd love to know how we can do better. But I think it was successful.
And last question for me. I know that sometimes the merchants say it costs us money when you close streets, but what about the financial impact of people coming to town and shopping and going to the restaurants?
Yeah, no, so I think what we're end up doing is we're trying to communicate to them, and what I tried to do in advance was to let people know you're going to be impacted whether we do a diversion or not, because traffic's going to be heavy. There's going to be a lot of people that are pedestrians, a lot of people in cars, and there's not going to be any parking. So what we wanted people to do as part of our communications plan was to plan ahead so that way they can figure out how are we going to get to these events, these locations, not just downtown, but on East San Jose, and figure out how can I be there so that way if a diversion does go up, I can still enjoy being down there, eating at these restaurants and shopping local. And that's what we wanted to do, and we hope that that was driven home because we didn't make people leave, or when we mean people leave, we made diversions that had people move out only when criminal behavior was occurring. And I think at the end of the day, most storefronts or store owners were very happy with their businesses not being broken or damaged if they lost a little bit of business in the meantime.